Hello and welcome back to Boxing Social in association with Betfred. My name is Ayman Khan. I'm here with a middleweight who was casting his keen eye over last night's action. He is, of course, the one and only Stoke's finest, Nathan Heaney. Nathan, how's life treating you?
Yeah, very good, mate. Yeah, just as you say, I watched it last night just as a pure boxing fan, and obviously as a middleweight as well, you want to watch what's going on. But yeah, I was very impressed with Eubank, to be honest, because I know what Liam Williams can do. Because Liam Williams is very, very strong and a very good boxer as well as being a fighter. But it was just strange just to see it last night, because I thought personally Williams was going to do a number on him. I just thought he was going to catch him and just do it. But Eubank boxed really well, and I've got to give him full credit for it, because yeah, it was a really good performance.
Were you watching that from your newly built man cave, Nathan?
No, I was actually I was just on the sofa watching on my laptop, to be honest. I had on my laptop and I had it on there. Yeah, so the man cave's a little bit cold if I don't put the heating on, even though it's got insulation all around it. It's still bloody freezing there. So yeah, I was in the house.
Yeah, like I mentioned, obviously you being a middleweight, you have inspired Liam Williams too, and your kind of desire to potentially have a fight down the line with Chris Eubank Jr. is one that's kind of an interesting fight for yourself. But you gave me your initial reaction there, but I want to know how you kind of felt as you were watching the fight kind of unfold. And if you go back to how maybe you'd perceived the fight 24 hours before and then watching it all unfold as it happened, were you kind of surprised as to what you were seeing on the TV screen?
Yeah, I was. I was surprised. I think because Williams is such an animal, and he is, I think he just saw a bit of red mist at times, and just Eubank was moving well, but awkwardly kept moving away. But I don't know. It's from the outside, it's easy to say, "Oh, you should have done this and you should have done that." So I don't really want to comment on terms of stuff like that. I was just very surprised how Eubank looked, to be honest. His jabs were sharp. I mean, he dropped him with some jabs, but they were solid jabs. It was just mad. It was just, yeah, it went completely the opposite way to what I genuinely thought was going to happen. But that just shows what boxing's all about and how different styles make different fights, don't they? But yeah, they definitely did go the other way.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned there, obviously, you don't want to go too much into kind of how someone should and shouldn't fight, but there was a lot of talk about kind of the game plans going in and maybe potentially Liam Williams being disciplined, taking notes from how George Groves and Billy Joe Saunders kind of did things. There's that kind of blueprint going on there. But as it unfolded, it didn't kind of seem that was the case as to how the approach of the fight was going on. So in that aspect also, were you kind of surprised at maybe the game plan there too?
Yeah, I think what changed it all was obviously the first knockdown. Once you had that first knockdown mentally, you just automatically go into this. I'm thinking back to the amateur days when you used to have computer scoring. You might have the tactics of boxing and being on the back foot and doing this and that, but you end the first round and you're 5-2 down on the score on the computer scoring. So then all of a sudden your game plan goes out the window. You have to completely change because you're chasing a lead that's going away from you. But yeah, so I think the first knockdown just played into that maybe and just changed probably the tactics of it, because in my opinion you have to probably make it a really boring fight with Eubank. You got to stay on that range. You've got to be dead course with what you're doing. Don't engage. He's always looking for that counter, and he was always drawing Williams in. But yeah, again, it's easy to say that on the outside. Easy.
Did you see? I mean, going into this fight, Eubank Jr. and Roy Jones Jr. were kind of saying that they wanted to kind of show the full aspect of their training, what they've kind of changed and implemented into Chris's game from kind of being a gung-ho type of fighter to kind of doing things differently. It did seem like you were saying, like, yeah, there's reactions, he was countering too. Did you see a different or differences in Eubank Jr.'s game this time around?
I was watching his previous two performances and I didn't think he looked that great. Like, I thought Mox Morrison had good success at times, and that other lad that he boxed, although the other lad that he boxed with the southpaw quite awkward, I just didn't think the performances were that great. So he turned it on that night, and he did show that they have words on things and the sharp counters that we're working on, and yeah, and he did. I respect, in my opinion, Liam Williams is one of the best lads I've ever shared the ring with. So and I've shared the ring with some great fighters. But years ago, me and Callum Smith used to be regular sparring partners at the Rotunda, and he went on to be a pound for pound bloody great fighter. So I rate Williams very, very highly. So for me to see what happened last night, yeah, he did shock me really. Because I've never seen Eubank in that light. I've never seen him like that in terms of, even last night, I'm like, I watched him and I think that it doesn't, I still don't think he looks amazing, but the fighter that he's with, he is amazing. It's amazing what he did, because I know what Liam Williams can do. So he obviously looks a lot better than what he obviously is a lot better than what he probably looks.
Two questions here, which you can kind of answer in one. Where do both fighters go? For Chris Eubank Jr., he's kind of calling out Golovkin, and Liam Williams is kind of now, it's coming off he's had the loss to Andrade, is now the Liam Smith loss. He's now got the Chris Eubank Jr. loss on his record, a grudge match loss too, in front of his home crowd. Where do both fighters go from here?
Obviously, Eubank's going to want the Golovkin fight just because it's a big payday kind of thing. And Golovkin is at a very latter stage of his career now. Like 4 years ago, you'd say Golovkin would absolutely wipe the floor with Eubank, but he just looked very good last night. So I can't just say now, oh, he's going to get splattered by Golovkin, because Golovkin is aged, and although Chris Eubank's 32 himself, he's still got the speed, he's still got the stamina, and you could see that last night. So yeah, he probably is going to be chasing at those kind of fights because that's where the money is. Williams, I'm not too sure. Williams probably just going to sit back for a bit, and then because he cleaned up domestically, he cleaned everyone up. It's just, and everyone perceives Eubank as world level. Maybe some do, some don't, but still. So he's only failed on the world stage, really. Williams has. So maybe it's just that European level, like, because he cleaned up domestically, and obviously then went to world level. So maybe he just moves back a bit to the European level and sees where he goes from there. But it's still one of the best fighters I've been with. So I still think he'll do amazing. It's just, I don't know.
Sticking with Williams, you mentioned obviously earlier that you'd done the sparring with him. I remember seeing the picture as well on your Instagram of you after sparring with him as well. Were you, I've used the word surprised quite a bit, but it still was surprising in the aspect as well too that I can't say this fully in terms of, but you'll have a better broach on this, to be fair. The kind of punch resistance aspect to Liam Williams, it seemed like from the outside looking in, whilst there were good solid jabs, like you said at the start of this interview, they were still jabs. So is there a question mark there about that maybe?
No, I think it's just one of them freak weird scenarios. Like you see some players and they hit someone with a shot and they go down, you think, I've hit lads way harder than that in the fight. Yeah. And some lads don't even blink when you hit them. Like, so I think it was just I don't know what happened there. Like a jab is very rare really to get knocked down with, but it was solid and the gloves were small and he just must have just come in at the same time and just, yeah. But there's no punch resistance issues with Williams. Bloody hell, Andrade whacked him with some great shots, and Andrade's a massive puncher and a big awkward fighter as well. And there was no issues there. It was just one of them, a freak one. That obviously then went on to other. It just created a snowball effect throughout this fight, really. That first jab did, but no, there's no questions on Williams' resistance. It was just one of them.
Did you hear afterwards in the post-fight press conference that Eubank Jr. said he'd bit Liam Williams at one point in the fight?
No. What he bit him, did he?
Yeah, apparently he put him in a headlock, and Chris Eubank Jr. was frustrated by the headlocks that he'd been put in. He thought the referee should have been docking off a point, and at one stage he bit Williams on a glove at one point, which I think is interesting in a sense of you would never hear that sort of thing from Eubank Jr., but in this fight he kind of brought that out of him.
Yeah, well, yeah. One thing you got to give Eubank is, regardless of what people perceive of his personality and stuff, he knows how to work the mental game really, really well. Like really, really well. Just from his persona to even in the ring itself. When he saw the opportunity, he was doing well. He also used that as an opportunity to show some kind of dominance and sort in a way, in terms of the way he was showboating, and he was like, "Come on!" And So it was just one of them because Williams is a fighter that you can't give any confidence to, because if he has any confidence, he's going to wipe the floor with you. So maybe he just played it. He played it perfect.
Let's move on to yourself as well, because you've got some news too. We'll start off first we'll bridge into you by you weren't too happy with Delilah was sang last night. Sung well, to be fair, Nathan, but your tune was played last night.
My phone just started like just loads of notifications, like pinging. I was like, "What's this?" And then I clicked on the fight, and I had me and Delilah. I was like, "What are they?" They proper ripped me off there, didn't they? Like they proper ripped me off. They knew what they were doing there. Like and yeah, it was a fair play to the lad that sang it. So I saw his actual profile on Twitter, the guy that sung, and I was going to put like a little joke tweet out saying, well done, mate, but I want to bloody cause some serious damage. But no, he just showed how good our Delilah is when we were out there, because that's the way it should be done. But yeah, it's. I mean, half them like were probably Swansea fans and stuff having sing Delilah. Like they must have hated it really. So, but yeah, it was funny, but it was good to see how like loads of random people were commenting, just saying that I thought Nathan Heaney was going to walk out. So like people have attached me to that song. So and Scarborough knows that's my song. So cheeky buggers for doing that.
But moving on from Delilah to your news, so I saw you pictured you signed a 2 years contract extension with Frank Warren, Queensbury Promotions. You must be obviously delighted to get that over the deal, and looking forward to a big 2022 after a really good 2021 for yourself too.
Yeah, it was great really. Like Frank's been amazing. Like every time I met him, he's always been a great bloke to me, like a great bloke. So we went down just before Christmas, and he knew my contract was coming up in March, and he said, "Listen, I'm gonna get it sorted for you." So we got it all sorted. Then we went down last week or whatever it was, because all this few stuff that's been going on, they've been so busy down at Queensbury. Like it's been dead hard to get down there. So we finally went down, and yeah, it's just brilliant, especially because when I was first signed 2 years ago with Frank, it was during the first lockdown. There was the most restricted life that we'd had in regards to the pandemic, and it was a bit weird in terms of I've signed, but I've also signed over an email. So like that sort of that, yeah, how you envision it as a kid, almost like when you're football, you sign stuff, just wasn't there. Whereas this time, it was much better. It was just nice being down there, signing it, having a picture with Frank, and yeah, it was just good to keep me, like I've always said, Frank Warren was the man that I wanted to be. A teen in my late teens. Me and my dad used to work hard to get there. So to be with him now and then to re-sign with him is just great.
I completely get that part of, signing over email, not quite it being exactly how you picture it, especially when you had that long kind of target and dream in your mind of signing with Frank. So to get that over the line, I imagine would have been great for you. But what about the plan now? What about the conversations that you had with Frank to kind of push you forward in 2022? What's the plan for Nathan Heaney?
Yeah, so I mean, it's very surreal for us to say, but they genuinely are looking at the Bet365 for this year and for next year as well. So it's just, that's probably the main objective that they've got, to try and build me up to that. And yeah, we didn't talk really about titles per se in terms of what route we're going to go down, but that'll be sorted with Errol and Frank anyway as we go along. But as I said to Frank, we got to have some step ups this year anyway. One, to make it more exciting, and it just keeps it going. And there were some names that were put forward that we discussed about there that would make really good opponents, very hard opponents to beat, but also winnable as well. So there should be some good 50-50 fights this year, and that's the main thing really, just to keep that momentum going and keep the entertainment going, because like I say, it's great having the walk on and stuff, and it's incredible, and it does create a really good entertainment point, but it's also good when we have the great fights as well.
I know boxing and life specifically isn't always about ideals and things, but if you had your kind of ideal kind of 2022, how many times would you be out, and what would you have done by the final day of the year?
Yeah, so I'd want at least 3 fights this year. If ideally, we'd probably say one between now and April. Then if they do the Bet365 in the summer or the late spring when the season finishes, and then a big, I'd love an event at the Manchester Arena as well. I think that'd just be a great night out for all my guys in Stoke and so on. So I think, yeah, so it'd be a fight between now and April. Hopefully on a I'd love to be on like a massive card, to be honest. And then, yeah, for them fights at the Bet365, and then a big night in Manchester or something. But yeah, that'd be the ideal scenario, and hopefully see what titles he can bring me along at that time as well.
I believe the middleweight title is vacant, and I think Denzel Bentley and Linus Udofia has been ordered to fight for it. Yeah. Are you looking at that kind of scene there and kind of surveying it a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. Like obviously, Felix Cash was the champion previously, and then vacated. And he's a very, very good fighter. Again, people perceive him European level and above. But Linus Udofia is obviously the former English champion. Whether he's still the current English champion, I don't know if he is or not. No, he's not. He was the former English champion, now stepping up to the British title. So it's the first time he's been in this level. Denzel Bentley's already been there and won it. So, yeah, that would potentially be the route that I would like to fight in the future with one of those guys. But you know me, mate. I hate in interviews when I'm saying, mention this name and that. I'm not mentioning their names in terms of calling them out or anything. I'm not doing that. But yeah, they are competitive fights, but fights that both of us can win. Like if either of us get the tactics wrong.
I'll close this out with a final question, and it's a sort of two-part question. With your plans and your ideals for this year, first of all, what do you want to show your fans in this year? And also a word on those fans too, which it seems rapidly, fight by fight, day by day, that fan base is growing and will kind of rocket you to your dreams and your aspirations of getting to the Bet365 and fighting there too.
Yeah, it's I just want to keep bringing some talents to the stage, because it's just people they really are backing me all the way when it comes to, you see them in the crowd and when I'm out. So when you see people just jumping about, like it's very surreal, and like you say, it's getting bigger every single time. So I mean, the last two fights I boxed over 9 weeks. So I boxed in Birmingham, and there was 1,600 people that went, and then I boxed in Birmingham 9 weeks later, and 1,700 people went. So it's just crazy numbers, like in terms of people supporting me. So yeah, and it is getting bigger. But we're just gonna see what happens. Keep the momentum going, keep the good shows going, and I'm sure my guys will keep going.
Hopefully, you'll be in line with potentially Stoke getting promoted. But they're not quite near the top at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's funny actually, because Neil Marsh was giving it some to me, because the Wigan supporter all last 2 weeks tagging me on stuff. The Wigan, we're coming, we're going to smash you. Give me a phone call the other day, we're going to smash you, and then we smashed them yesterday 2-0. So that's the FA Cup. But in terms of the Championship, yeah, it's just we could still do okay. We could still get in the playoffs potentially, but we've got to win probably the next 7 to 8 out of the next 13 games. So it's going to be hard, but who knows? But it's much better than what we've seen the last few years anyway.
Nathan, always a pleasure speaking to you. Wishing you all the best for you in this year and for Stoke as well. Hopefully see both of you, or yourself and the team, rise this year as well. So thank you so much for speaking to Boxing Social, and we'll speak again soon.
Top man, Ayman. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Cheers.